Well, hey, friends, welcome back to another episode of The Therapy Show. I'm your host, Lisa Mustard, and in this episode, I'm focusing on a subject that is both sensitive and essential: how to talk to kids about anti-Semitism. And this conversation is not just timely, but also necessary given the current global climate and the increasing need to address such issues with younger generations. But before I dive into this critical discussion, I want to take a moment to talk about Kesher Shalom projects. The Kesher Shalom projects, founded by Malka Shah, licensed clinical social worker, in response to October 7th and the ongoing events since, is to equip therapists worldwide with essential tools and expertise to support Jewish clients during times of conflict. Led by experienced trauma specialists, this initiative has trained over 2,000 therapists globally so far. They focus on providing vital training, covering trauma assessments and practical techniques, and fostering a deep understanding of Jewish competency through a trauma-focused approach. Their commitment extends beyond clinical settings, offering specialized workshops and groups tailored for non-clinical audiences. And by addressing intergenerational trauma and combating the pervasive impact of anti-Semitism, they aim to empower both therapists and communities in promoting healing and resilience. Kesher Shalom will be offering trainings really soon and starting up support groups as well. And if you're interested in either of these, head over to the website, keshershalom.com, and sign up for the newsletter. You'll also get some really nice freebies for signing up. So head to the site, once again, keshershalom.com, or you can just click the link in the show notes. Today, I'm shifting my focus to a topic that many parents and educators are grappling with: how to effectively and sensitively talk to children and teens about anti-Semitism. And this is not just about imparting information, but also about nurturing understanding, resilience, and pride in one's identity in the face of adversity. I'll explore age-appropriate ways to introduce these concepts, how to handle your own emotions as a parent or educator while discussing these topics, and the importance of providing a balanced view of the world to the younger generation. So whether you're a parent, educator, or simply someone interested in understanding more about this vital topic, this episode promises to offer valuable insights, practical advice, and resources to help navigate these challenging conversations. So the following information is actually a recording of a Facebook Live I did back in December of 2023. I hope you find it helpful and useful. All right, let's dive right on in. My name is Lisa Mustard, and I am a marriage and family therapist, and I live in South Carolina. And I also have a podcast called The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard, and I have a lot of things going on. For the past 15 years or so, I have worked primarily with a military branch here in South Carolina. I work with families, service members as they're dealing with deployment-related issues. And I've also recently been a part of Kesher Shalom, which I think you guys have heard a little bit about the organization. You heard last week from Malka Shah. And we will put the link to her live from last week in the comments. So if you did not catch that, you've got to go back and watch what she shared about trauma and how it is affecting us right now. But today we're going to talk about how to talk to kids about anti-Semitism. Before I jump into that, I want to give a huge thank you to Never Forget Jewish Lives Matters, Sharon Cates, one of the admins here, who has been so gracious in having us present these topics. We truly want to support and help and be a resource for anybody who's experiencing any type of stress or just, issues with what's been going on for the past couple of months over in Israel, as well as what's happening here in America. Also want to give a shout out to OK Clarity. If you don't know OK Clarity, they are a online directory for Jewish therapists and nutritionists and coaches. You can find so many professionals, wellness professionals, over on the okclarity.com site. That information is pinned in the comments. They have a fabulous Instagram feed. They also have a wonderful WhatsApp channel where you can join, and they share all kinds of resiliency information, information about, being Jewish and resiliency. How they support, is not just Jews, but really anybody who is seeking mental health support as well. So go ahead and check out okclarity.com, join their WhatsApp app, and then Kesher Shalom, we have created a free newsletter for you all that also will give you our free download of 15 easy habits to support your mental health. And we also created a private podcast feed that has four guided meditations on there. That's absolutely free. You just click the link in the show notes, sign up, and you will get access to that private podcast. I think we're also going to be adding these talks into that private podcast. So if you prefer to listen on the go, you can do that. And one more thing before I jump into today's topic, I am the host of The Therapy Show with Lisa Mustard. Would love it if you guys were interested in learning more about my podcast. The link is in the show notes. Not the show notes. The link is in the comments for you to go ahead and learn about my show. And I also do life coaching. You can learn all about that there. But let's talk about anti-Semitism. And if you have questions or comments, please put them in the comment section. I would love to address anything as best I can. Now, I'm going to I'm always coming from the framework of, I'm a parent. I have two daughters, a tween and a teen. I know my kids better than anybody, right? And I want to reiterate that you know your kids better than anybody else out there. So what I share today, take it and use what you can and just put aside what doesn't fit for you and your family, but also stream it through the lens of your family and what it is that how you know your kids and how you know your family. Because everybody's situation is unique and different. And I always want to say that parents know their kids the best. Okay. All right. So the first question that was asked prior to even having this live was, at what age can you start talking to kids about, I think it was like the Holocaust education. Now, I'm not an educator. I went straight to the source of the Holocaust Museum and looked that up, and they suggest that Holocaust education really should start middle school. 6th grade looks to be about the appropriate age. They recommend you can talk to kids earlier, elementary school age, about diversity and being different. But developmentally, kids really don't have the capacity to understand on a broader level the Holocaust until they are, 6th grade or so. So I hope that answers, I think it was History of the Ages. He asked that question. I hope that answers your question. All right, so let's talk about, how do you talk to your kids about anti-Semitism? First and foremost, the most important thing, I think, as adults, as parents, we need to know what's going on with us first before we even address the conversation with our kids. We need to check in with ourselves to know that we're in a healthy place to have these conversations, okay? So if you're not in a healthy place or in a rational place to have these conversations, maybe don't have that conversation yet. If you're in an emotionally reactive state, I would not recommend jumping into that conversation. Every time I have a conversation with my teen about what's going on, I have to check in with myself first. I have been known to tell her, hey, I need a couple minutes to process what you just told me or what's happening that you saw on the news. So give me a minute, let me go and think about it, and I'll be right back and we can talk about it. And sometimes I will call my husband and have a conversation with him. I will call a friend. I will call Malka, who just gave you that great comment, and I'll say, I'm going to check in with a friend who's going to give me honest feedback before I have that conversation with my kid. It helps me feel calmer. It helps me feel more validated. It also gives me that compassionate response that I might need as the adult in the room to have that conversation with the kid, because we need to be taking care of ourselves as much as we're taking care of our kids. Like I think Malka mentioned, one of her talks about, when you get on an airplane and they talk about the breathing mask, we need to put ours on first before we give to the next person, because we have to be in a place where we are stable and we feel safe that we can have the conversation. So definitely check in with yourself first before you have that conversation with your kiddos. And I also want to say that another important thing when it comes to talking to kids about anti-Semitism is you want to, your teens are one thing, right? And we're going to talk teens, tweens, and maybe even elementary school kids. But with the teens, it's okay for you to tell them that maybe you're feeling a little bit of your own distress, because they can handle it. They can handle, and that maybe help you actually relate to what your teen is going through as well. But it is okay to admit that you are having your own issues with some of the hateful things that you're seeing out there. But it is important to tell that kid, this is scary and this is painful, and it is a time for us to be having these conversations. It's really important. Also, you want to give a balanced and accurate awareness of the level of anti-Semitism that's happening where you are, where you live. Now, I live in the South, okay? It's a very different environment down here than it is in New York, where some of my friends are. It's very, very different, okay? For example, I don't know, and also you have to remember that what we see on social media is not always the reality of what is happening in our environment and in our world. So we might see on social media that there's all this anti-Semitism going on and people are protesting and people aren't being supportive. But my experience last week at a middle school orchestra concert, when they played the Hanukkah song, everybody was cheering and clapping and so excited and happy. So, you have to really balance like what you think is happening out there versus like what is the reality of you and your family and where you live. So I know that's going to be different for everybody. So definitely keep that in the back of your mind as you are having conversations with your children, and ask them where they're getting this information from, where they're seeing this. If they're seeing it on social media, especially on TikTok, y'all, I got to tell you, I'm going to come out and say it. I am not an advocate for TikTok. So if there's any way that you can really work to get your kid off of TikTok, I'm going to be that advocate out there that says, don't let them on the TikTok. Okay. I mean, I'm just going to say it, even Instagram sometimes, because those social media platforms are designed to, they're designed for so many things, but they are designed to take you down that rabbit hole of things over and over again. And it only ups our anxiety. It only ups our sadness. It only ups our moodiness. So if you as a grown-up can really watch how much time you're spending on those social media apps, I think that's a good idea as well. But you want to definitely talk to your kids about getting information from credible sources. I know where I go. I go to a couple different places to get accurate information, and you have to decide for your family where you're going to get that accurate information. I'm not going to tell you where to get that, but you have to decide, you have to do your research and decide like where is the information coming from that you are going to subject yourself and get the news from. Okay. I think getting it from social media is a horrible place to get your news because you get it in 30-second clips. You get people, you can't vet these people. You don't know. I mean, some of them, sure, you can, but just random clips from people that you don't know anything about. Why are you listening to them? Like, why are you listening to them, and why are you letting them suck the life out of you and give you so much anxiety? I know it's easy to want to respond in the comments and show them and give them the facts. These people don't care about facts. These people do not care about you giving them the right information. They don't. I mean, you're not going to change anybody's opinion by one comment on social media. I'll promise you. So it's worth it for you to take a step back and say, what am I trying to accomplish here? Do I want peace or do I want to be right? And if I want peace in my life, I'm going to take a step back and I'm not going to respond to this bot or this spammer. It doesn't do anybody any good. And it just helps their comment get further out into the algorithm. You're actually feeding the algorithm when you respond to these bots and these spammers. Okay. So like I said, you want to be aware of where you're getting your information from. You want it to be accurate. You figure out what is the best information for you and your family to take in. Okay, we talked about that. We talked about it's okay to talk to your teens a little bit about your own distress. But remember, you are the adult. You are the adult in the room. And so you want to be able to frame it in a way that you're still the adult. Okay, I'm just going to say it like that. And check in, make sure you're in a healthy place. And of course, there is going to be a lot of talk. You're going to hear people say that there's a lot of hatred and jealousy of Jews. And there's a number, we don't know why, we don't understand where this comes from or why. We can't answer that question, but what we can say is that we have pride in our accomplishments and that's who we are. And, good for us. We account for 0.2% of the world population, but we also account for 22% of the Nobel Prize recipients. So that should be conveyed with pride, I think. I'm not going to win a Nobel Prize anytime soon, but I think that's pretty amazing. So remember, when there's jealousy, come back to it with your kids of there's a lot to be proud of within our religion and with our faith. We can be proud about our history and our ancestry and our national history of resilience, right? I mean, how many times in history have the Jews, been fought or been beat down, and we always come back. We always come back, and we come back stronger. The legacy of Jewish survival is amazing, right? So be proud of that and talk to your kids about that and let them know that we have a lot of strength in our history. And those stories of resilience and courage, we need to find those, and we need to be sharing those with our kids right now. And that we need to talk about our values, right? We need to talk about our values as Jews. Now, I know that there is a broad range of different religiosity, I guess that's the best word, of Jews in this group, and I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. I'm a different, religiosity. is that the right word? Then Malka is, and Robin, who's going to be presenting to you after the holidays. So, but we all come together and we all share common values and we all share a common faith. No matter how we practice it, we are all still Jews, okay? So now is a time for us to look to like-minded friends and family and look for support. That's off on a side. But it is important that we remember our values as Jews, and we are living those out. We are walking in alignment with them, and we are teaching those to our kids. So a lot of people are talking about struggling with how much do they show their Jewishness. I hear from some young men they don't want to wear their yarmulkes to school. I'm hearing from some of young women they don't want to wear their Star of Davids. They don't want to put it out there, and that's okay. Everybody has to be comfortable with how much they want to show their Judaism, and that's okay. We don't want to judge our friends or our neighbors or anybody else that might want to hold back a little bit. That is up to them. That's their comfort level. But like I said, don't let your kids be judgmental of the other kids that might be pulling back or even, feeling like, hey, now is the time for me to really show off my Judaism. Work with your kids, talk to your kids about let them do what they feel that they need to do, and you need to do what you feel is right for you. But don't force your kids or put pressure on them based on your needs or your wanting to be validated by others. Have the conversation with your kids about what their comfort level is and just go with it, because look, they're kids. It's probably going to change again next week. At least that's kind of the history over here in our house. So another thing too is some kids might want to learn how to protect themselves. They might want to go and learn Krav Maga. They might want to go and start taking jujitsu, or gosh, I don't know. I mean, always that could be a wonderful thing for them to feel confident, to feel good about being protective of themselves and their friends. But of course, you want to have the conversation with them about like, hey, where is this coming from? And, remember, this isn't something you go and you learn in one lesson and you're a black belt in Krav Maga. I don't know if they do black belts, or black belt in Taekwondo. That's what we know over here. So it takes work and it takes commitment. And I think it's cool if kids, that's something that they want to get into. It might just help with their confidence. So have the conversations with them and see what would make them feel like they're doing something and that they have some control over, how they present themselves. So, but also we want to teach them like, hey, if you are worried about your safety, we need to know as your parents, and we need to be talking to school administrators. We need to be talking to local authorities, but have the conversation with your kids. Ask them about their safety. Ask them about what they're seeing, within their peers. And depending on where you live, it's going to be different. Like I said, here in South Carolina, personally haven't seen anything. But if you live in New York, you live in Brooklyn, or, you're in an area where you're populated, you're Jews everywhere, then it's going to be different for you. Okay. If you have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I don't see any questions yet. I saw Malka put up that don't forget to sign up for the Keshem Shalom newsletter. Once again, when you sign up for that, you will get our ebook of 15 easy habits to support your mental health. There's also a self-care checklist in there. And then you'll also get access to our private podcast feed of guided meditations and a little bit more. We're probably going to end up putting these talks on that private podcast feed, so you can refer to them maybe when you're in the car, you're on the go, share them with your friends. You don't always want to be living on Facebook. That's another thing too. I know I mentioned it earlier about social media, but usually social media comes up so much when it comes to anti-Semitism. Social media is a blessing and a curse, and you have to find your balance with it. I know Malka, I think, talked about it last week. Take time away from social media. Take time away from social media and go and live your life. Go and actually experience the world. You don't have to check social media every 15, 20 minutes to be on the know about the spammer or the bot or the jerk that lives, 2 streets over who is just anti-Semitic and posting all kinds of stuff. You don't have to let that into your life. You do not have to. By commenting on these things and you're just adding to the feed's just getting what it wants. It's getting angry and divisive and polarizing once again. Instead, why don't you be the light? You be the light and post something positive and uplifting. Whatever that is to you. One of our values as Jews is, making peace in the world. How can you do that? How can you show up and be the light? How can you show up and be that positive person on somebody's feed? It doesn't always have to be about, bring the hostages home now, or the war, or anti-Semitism, or, what's going on at the poison Ivy Leagues. I heard somebody call them that, and I thought that was awesome. But what can you do that shares like uplifting messages? Because people need uplifting messages right now in this world. They need to see good stuff. So I'm going to encourage you, for every post that you share about the war or about, pro-Judaism, you share something else that can bring people together, that isn't necessarily, giving the algorithm what it wants all the time. Okay, I think I have covered a bunch of different things that I hope would be helpful for you. I want to just give you a couple resources. I got a lot of this information from an organization called OHEL, and they are a mental health organization, nonprofit. You can go on their website and you can check them out, ohel.com or ohelfamily.org. You can see more information about how to talk to your kids about anti-Semitism. They also have some webinars as well. You can also reach out to Malka or me or even Robin, who will be presenting soon, and have a conversation or get a consultation if you need that. And definitely check out OK Clarity. OK Clarity is they call it the ZocDoc for the Jewish community. So if you're looking for a Jewish mental health provider, psychiatrist, nutritionist, anything like that, you can head over to okclarity.com and you can do a search for what it is that you're looking for. You can also search by, the topic. You can search by location. Lots of ways to get some great information from OK Clarity. You can find me at my website, lisamustard.com. And if I can be of any support or help, feel free to reach out. I don't always check my Facebook because, like you, I am working to stay off of social media and kind of, keep my mental health in check and not be on social media having to know all the time what's going on. And I just want to encourage you one more time to go back and watch what Malka shared about resilience and trauma, because it's really important. Everybody's experiencing this in their own way. Some people are doing better than others. So please check in on your friends, check in on your neighbors. And if you're in this group and you're not Jewish and you're here as a supporter, check in with your Jewish friends. Ask them how you can support them. Yeah, and Malka just said that better than ZocDoc, they can also match you up with a therapist. Tell them that you were referred by us. So you can just send them an email and they will help find somebody for you. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful end of 2023, beginning of 2024. And I hope that we will see you on our newsletter. And if you, like I said, have questions, feel free to reach out. All right. You guys take care. Thanks so much for being here. All right. See you guys soon. Take care.